Welcome back to AI Weekly. It's December 9th, 2024. And wow, this week has been nuts. So much AI news.
I know, right? It's like every major company dropped huge announcements like all at once. New models, platform updates, gone crazy.
It really does feel like the whole AI landscape just kind of shifted.
For sure.
So before we take a deep dive into some of the big stories, let's do a quick rundown of the headlines.
Sounds good.
Okay, so OpenAI is doing their 12 days of OpenAI thing, right? Releasing new stuff every single day.
Yeah, I've been keeping up with it.
So far, they've announced the O1 reasoning model, and this thing is getting some serious attention.
I saw that. They're saying it's amazing for coding and math.
Right, and not just like basic math. Apparently, it aced some crazy qualifying exam for the International Math Olympiad.
Seriously, that's wild. AI is getting scary good at reasoning these days.
Right, and alongside O1, they also launched ChatGPT Pro.
Which is...
It's like a business tier for ChatGPT. Unlimited usage, supposedly an even smarter version of O1, the whole shebang. But the really interesting part, they've been teasing video inputs and screen sharing for ChatGPT.
Wait, hold on. Like ChatGPT could analyze your video feed.
Exactly. Imagine it giving your feedback during a mock interview or explaining something on a website you're browsing.
Whoa. The possibilities for education and training are, like, endless.
Right. Okay, moving on. Meta surprised everyone with their Llama 3.3 model.
Yeah, the smaller size and focus on efficiency was unexpected.
It's like they're directly challenging that whole bigger is better thing that's been going on with AI models.
Which is honestly pretty refreshing.
So Llama 3.3 only has 70 billion parameters, way smaller than a lot of leading models, but it's still hitting those same performance levels.
And using way less GPU memory.
Which means huge savings for developers, potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars in hardware costs.
Not to mention it's open source, so more developers and researchers can actually get their hands on it.
Exactly. It's all about accessibility.
Yeah.
Okay. Amazon had their AWS reInvent conference this week, and, well, they went all out with AI announcements.
Oh, they always do. What'd they have this time?
New Amazon Nova Foundation models, Trainium 3 chips, new capabilities for Amazon Bedrock and SageMaker.
Wow. They're serious about building that whole AI ecosystem.
For sure, making AI development easier and more efficient, for businesses of all sizes.
Makes sense.
All right, Google Time. They debuted their Gemini XP 1121 model. This one has a crazy 2 million token context window.
2 million. So, like, it can remember and understand really long chunks of information?
Yep. Entire research papers, long narratives, you name it. Perfect for analyzing complex stuff.
Okay, that's impressive.
But wait, there's more. Google also unveiled Genie 2.
Genie 2? What's that?
It's their new large-scale foundation world model.
Okay.
And get this, it can supposedly create interactive 3D worlds, like from a single image prompt.
What? No way?
They even say it allows for real-time human control within those worlds. But how realistic is it? I guess we'll have to see.
Definitely want to dive deeper into that one.
We will. For now, let's talk about Tencent. They released Hunyuan Video, an AI model for text-to-video generation.
Another text-to-video model? Seems like everyone's working on those.
I know, right? But Tencent's saying theirs is top tier for visual fidelity and how the scenes flow. Plus, it can even create realistic sound effects and music for the videos.
Really? So, like, you could create a whole short film with music just from a text prompt?
That's the idea. Pretty wild, right?
Wild's an understatement.
Oh, and we can't forget xAI. Remember them? Elon Musk's company.
Yeah, vaguely.
They briefly launched an image generation model called Aurora. Supposedly had insane realism, but it got pulled hours after launch. No one knows why for sure.
Maybe more development needed.
Yeah.
Or something wasn't safe.
Total mystery. Yeah. Lastly, Anthropic rolled out customizable styles for Claude, their AI assistant.
What does that mean exactly?
So you can tweak Claude's writing style, like make it match your own voice or brand.
Oh, that's neat. Helpful for content creation.
Right. Okay, so that was our whirlwind tour of this week's biggest AI news.
Phew. We covered a lot. My head's spinning a little.
Mine too. But now it's deep dive time. And I think we got to start with Google's Genie 2.
Agreed. 3D worlds from an image. Come on, that's got to be explored.
Right. So Google DeepMind's claiming Genie 2 can create these interactive 3D worlds and even let people control them in real time. Sounds amazing, but is it too good to be true?
Well, from the demos, they seem to have nailed the basics like physics and how objects interact.
And character animations. even how the AI controls characters behave.
Yeah, and they're saying it works from different perspectives. First person isometrics, third person.
But they also mentioned this long horizon memory thing,
Mm-hmm.
suggesting the world stays consistent, over long periods. But how long are we talking?
That's the million-dollar question.
And how does real-time control even work? What about frame rate limitations and all that?
Yeah, there are a lot of unknowns. Like, is this really a game engine or more of a tool for designers?
Totally. Even as a prototyping tool, though, it could be massive for, say, game development.
Imagine mocking up a 3D environment just from an image. That'd be revolutionary.
No doubt. Okay, another potential game changer we got to talk about, Meta's Llama 3.3.
Right. That model's a prime example of smaller being better.
It really is. So Llama 3.3 is all about top performance in a compact package, prioritizing efficiency.
And the fact that it's open source is huge.
Right. Developers and researchers who couldn't handle massive models before now have a powerful tool they can actually use.
Truly democratizing AI access. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. What makes Llama 3.3 so special?
Well, it's got 70 billion parameters, significantly smaller than the big models out there.
Leading to those big savings on GPU memory. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, potentially.
But even with that smaller size, the performance is there, especially in multilingual tasks.
They said it hit 91.1% accuracy on MGSM. That's incredible for a model this size.
Right, and the 128,000 token context window means it can handle long content without breaking a sweat. Plus, they use those advanced alignment techniques, RLHF and SFT.
So safety and performance all on one.
It really is the whole package. Smaller size, top performance, open source, emphasis on sustainability.
Meta definitely hit the mark with this one.
Agreed. So those are two developments that could really shake up the AI landscape.
It's crazy to think about where all this is going.
I know, right? We're seeing a clear push towards accessibility and efficiency in AI. It's not always about brute force anymore.
And tools like Genie 2, they're pushing creative boundaries like we've never seen.
But we also got to talk about the potential downsides, the ethics of all this.
Absolutely. Responsible AI development is more important than ever.
Okay, so that's a good overview of the big stuff. What other stories from this week should we highlight?
I'm thinking Tencent's Hanyun Video deserves a closer look.
Definitely. Text to video is exploding,
Yeah.
and this open source model could be a major player.
And we can't forget about Amazon and their whole AI ecosystem play.
Right. They might not have the flashiest tech, but their long-term strategy is worth paying attention to.
All right, so where do we go from here?
Let's dive deeper into those topics in the next segment.
Sounds like a plan. Okay, so let's dig into Tencent's Hanyun Video. This one's got me thinking.
Me too. Text video is getting so hot right now, and Tencent's making some big claims.
Right, and the fact that it's open source, that's a game changer, just like with Llama 3.3.
Totally. It levels the playing field. Anyone can use it, build on it.
Exactly. And we've all seen those early text-to-video models, the ones that look kind of janky.
Yeah, the movements are all weird and choppy.
Hanyun Video seems like a huge step up. They're saying it's way better for visual quality and how realistic the scenes look.
They shared some examples, and I got to say, they were impressive. Smooth movements, detailed environments, the whole 9 yards.
And they're pushing the boundaries with what it can do. Multiple characters, complex interactions, stuff we haven't really seen before.
Oh, and don't forget that video to audio thing.
Right. It can create sound effects and music, like custom soundtracks for your generated videos.
Imagine that. A whole short film, music and all, just from a text prompt.
It's mind-blowing. But thinking practically, where do you see this tech going? Like real-world uses?
Well, obviously, entertainment's a big one. Filmmakers, game developers, anyone creating video content could use this for rapid prototyping.
Right. Instead of spending weeks building a scene, you could just generate it.
And it goes beyond entertainment. Think educational videos, personalized ads, training simulations.
Oh, and VR. Imagine creating entire virtual worlds on the fly, responding to the user in real time.
That's next level stuff.
And because it's open source, we could see a whole ecosystem built around it, like what happened with Stable Diffusion.
Right. Everyone started creating tools and apps for it.
Exactly. This could be huge for democratizing video creation, giving anyone with an idea the power to make it happen.
It's like the next YouTube, but for AI-generated videos.
I love that analogy. But of course, there's the flip side, the risks we got to talk about.
Absolutely. Powerful tech always comes with a responsibility to use it wisely.
And with video generation, the potential for misuse is huge, especially deepfakes.
Yeah, those are already a problem, and a tool like this could make it even easier to create convincing fakes.
It's scary to think about how they could be used for misinformation or to harass people.
And even if there's no malicious intent, we still got to think about the ethics of creating content that's indistinguishable from reality.
It's a tough question. How do we know what's real anymore?
Right. We need solutions, like watermarking AI-generated content, educating the public about deepfakes, that kind of thing.
Totally. Okay, so we've talked about Tencent and their big swing. What about Amazon? They had a ton of AI announcements at re:Invent.
Yeah, but they were more under the radar compared to Google and Meta.
True, but I think they're playing the long game here. Remember, Amazon's all about cloud computing, and they're building a serious AI ecosystem.
Okay, so break down. What are they doing exactly?
Well, they launched these new Amazon Nova Foundation models. It's like giving developers a toolbox of pre-trained models to work with.
So they don't have to start from scratch, which can be super time-consuming and expensive.
Exactly. And they have models of different sizes so developers can choose what fits their needs and budget.
That's smart. What else?
They also released their Trainium 3 chips, specifically designed for AI, faster and more efficient than before.
Always pushing for that efficiency.
And they added new features to their existing services, like Amazon Bedrock and SageMaker.
Those are for building and deploying machine learning models, right?
Yep. They're making it easier for businesses to work with AI at scale.
So Amazon's taking this holistic approach, supporting the whole AI development process.
Exactly. It's not just about the models themselves, but about making AI accessible and usable for everyone.
It's like they're betting that the real value of AI comes from widespread adoption, not just a few super advanced models.
And with their massive cloud infrastructure, they're in a prime position to make that happen.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground today. Advancements in reasoning, world building, video generation, even the underlying infrastructure.
It's incredible how fast this field is moving.
Mind-blowing is right. But with all this progress, we gotta stay grounded.
Absolutely. We can't get lost in the hype and forget about the potential downsides.
It's easy to get excited about the possibilities, but AI is a tool, and it can be used for good or bad.
That's why responsible development is so crucial. We need to have open conversations about the risks as well as the benefits.
We can't ignore issues like bias in algorithms, job displacement, misinformation, all of that.
And the potential for AI to be used for harmful purposes. We need to be proactive about addressing these challenges.
One thing that stood out to me this week was the contrast between Meta's approach with Llama 3.3 and Google's work on Genie 2.
Yeah, what about it?
Meta's all about efficiency and accessibility, while Google's pushing the limits of scale and complexity with Genie 2.
It's an interesting contrast, for sure.
It reflects this tension in the AI field. Do we go bigger and more powerful or smaller and more accessible?
Honestly, I think we need both.
Me too. We need to keep pushing the boundaries, but also make sure AI is available to everyone, not just a select few.
It's like building a supercomputer versus designing a smartphone. Both are important, but the one that reaches more people will have the biggest impact.
I love that. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are your final thoughts? What excites you, and what are you watching closely?
I'm super excited about open source AI, Stable Diffusion, Hunyuan Video. They're showing us what's possible when we make these tools available to everyone.
It's like unleashing a wave of creativity.
Exactly. And I'm also fascinated by those foundation world models like Genie 2, creating 3D worlds on the fly. That could change everything.
It's straight out of sci-fi, but we got to be realistic about the risks, too.
For sure. My biggest concern is that AI could widen the gap between those who have access to these powerful tools and those who don't.
We need to make sure everyone benefits from AI, not just a privileged few.
Well said. So that's it for this week's AI Weekly. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
We hope you enjoy this deep dive into the world of AI.
And keep the conversation going. What excites you? What concerns you? Let us know in the comments.
We'll be back next week with more AI news and analysis. Until then, stay curious.
Yeah, it's like we can't just be blinded by the shiny new tech, right?
Exactly. We got to be thoughtful about it.
Yeah.
Like you said, AI is a tool, and it can be used in all sorts of ways.
Because it's up to us, really, to guide its development, make sure it's used ethically.
Absolutely. And that means talking openly about the potential downsides, not just focusing on the good stuff.
Totally. We got to talk about algorithmic bias, the possibility of jobs being replaced, misinformation, all of that.
And even AI being used for, like, straight up harmful stuff. We can't just bury our heads in the sand.
I know, right? It feels like a lot of responsibility. But this week, I was really struck by the contrast between Meta's approach with Llama 3.3 and what Google's doing with Genie 2.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, Meta seems to be all about efficiency and making AI accessible to everyone. But then you have Google pushing the boundaries with Genie 2. It's like massive scale, super complex. It's an interesting difference, for sure. And it reflects a bigger question in the AI world. Do we prioritize making models bigger and more powerful or smaller and more accessible?
Exactly. And I don't think there's an easy answer.
Yeah, we need both, right? Pushing the boundaries is important, but so is making sure everyone can benefit from AI, not just those with tons of resources.
It's like, building a supercomputer versus designing a smartphone. Both have their place, but the one that gets into more people's hands will ultimately have a bigger impact.
I love that analogy. So as we wrap up this week's AI Weekly, what are your final thoughts? What has you excited? And what are you keeping an eye on?
Honestly, I'm super pumped about the potential of open source AI. Like, look at Stable Diffusion and Honeywan Video. They're showing what happens when we make these powerful tools available to everyone.
It's like opening the floodgates for creativity and innovation.
Right, exactly. I also can't get over those foundation world models, like Genie 2. Creating 3D worlds on the fly, that's just wild. I think it changed everything, from entertainment to education to, scientific research.
Imagine students learning about history by actually walking through ancient Rome in VR, or exploring the human body in a fully immersive 3D environment. Crazy stuff.
It's like something out of a movie.
Yeah.
But like we said before, we can't forget about the potential downsides.
Absolutely. And I think my biggest worry is that AI could end up creating an even bigger gap between those who have access to these powerful tools and those who don't.
Yeah, that's a real concern. We got to make sure AI benefits everyone, not just a select few. We need to be mindful of those ethical considerations as this tech keeps evolving.
Absolutely. Well said. So that brings us to the end of another AI Weekly. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of AI. And we encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments. What excites you about these advancements? What concerns do you have? We'd love to hear from you.
We'll be back next week with more AI news and analysis. Until then, stay curious.